very different. It's different than the usual liturgy that you are used to. It's darkness, less light, right? And the liturgy itself, it's so different. So, but I want to focus on one of the readings that we heard today, which talks about the creation. And specifically, it talks about the sixth day, right? After God had finished his entire creation, on the sixth day, he created all the animals. And he saw that that's all good, is great, everything was perfect. And finally, he decided, pay attention, to create his ultimate creation. But in a different way. The entire creation was created by the word. Let it be, and it was done. Could he create men the same way? Yes. He could command the water and the dirt to be put together and create men, right? But he didn't do that. Because if he would do that, then the man would be exactly like the other creation, like the animals, right? But he said, no, let's create it differently, according to our image and likeness. So see, even though he used the already created material, because we know that he created the world out of nothing. But now, he had the material. So he takes the already created material and with his own hands, he is creating men according to his image and likeness. So even though we are partially part of this world, yet we are so different because we are God's image and likeness. I remember in the Old Testament, the righteous Job was asking God, why do you love men so bad? Why the man is so different from the rest of your creation? Well, to think a little bit, like on his time, what would he know? He probably knew his land and what was in his neighborhood and whatever he heard, right? But now, in our days, the horizon is wide open to us, right? We can fly in the space. We discovered over 3 trillions of new galaxies, right? So, and we understand the greatness of God's creation. And when through incarnation, his son becomes man, that opens to us the answer to that question, why he loves man. Because the man, as I mentioned, is his image and likeness. So I mentioned that we belong to this place. Only partially, because we are different than the rest of the creation. We are God's image. So in us, he put the supreme love. In us, he gave us the logic. He gave us discernment that we can understand, we can choose, and make a decision. And this makes us very different from the rest of creation. They don't have these gifts. And they were created by word, not by his hands and not in his likeness and image. But the men was his supreme creation and put on top of everything and in charge with everything. So he put us in charge of all his creation. That much he loved us, and he still loves us. And that's why he sent his only begotten Son to be incarnated for us, to take flesh, to live our life, to redeem us from the misery of the sin, and to show us the way of life. It's kind of hard for us to understand because we lost the connection. And many times, even though we have logic and discernment, it's so hard to choose the right path. And I will tell you a story of two brothers. They decided to dedicate their lives into God's service. They left everything, they gave all their possessions, and they decided to go in the wilderness, in the desert, to serve God there in peace and far away from humans. As soon they approached the desert, the angel of God appeared and was leading them. He led them to a cave. So they established themselves there and they started praying day and night and just eating what they could find in the desert. One day, one of the brothers was looking for something, and the other was looking from the cave and saw him jumping and ran to the depth of the cave. He looked at him, asked him what happened. He didn't say a word. But he wanted to see what was so terrifying that he saw, and he got scared. So he went approximately on that place, and what he found? He found a treasury, a lot of gold. Well, he thought for himself, well, I'm not going to be like my brother, be scared about it. I'm going to take it, go in the world, build a village with a church, school, everything they need, and I will come back. So he did that. He went, he built a beautiful village with everything that was needed for the village, but he didn't even keep anything for him. He wasn't eating from that money. Nothing. Right? Everything was spent for the benefits of the people. After he finished, he returned back. But returning back, now he was praising himself. See, I'm not like my brother. I was a good manager. I managed the treasure that God showed us for the benefits of the society. I'm not like him, scared. And now the angel of God appeared to him. He said, what your brother did was very pleased in God's eyes. But what you did, because you're praising yourself, thinking that you're better than him, God is very upset with you. And you're not going to see your brother anymore. So he ran to the cave. He ran around for 7 days. He couldn't find his brother. And after 7 days, the angel appeared again to him and said, listen, if you want God to forgive you for your pride, you have to go back in the world and stay there on a pillar and pray day and night on the pillar. Do not get out from the pillar. Now you understand how hard it is to stay on a pillar, right? So he stood on that pillar for 45 years, praying day and night. And after 45 years, the angel appeared again, and he was complaining, "Why did you leave me?" He said, "I never left you. I actually was here, but you could not see me. But now you found grace in God's eyes. He forgave you." And he said, you divided me from my brother." He said, "Not me. You divided. Your pride divided you from your brother." So he said, "Do not worry. Your brother is alive, and you'll see each other in the other life. But see, we have to learn. God put us in charge, but we have, first of all, to be always grateful, not using the grace of God and God's gifts in vain, not thinking that we are worthy or we did something. No, we are just users. We do nothing actually. So imagine when you're working with a tool, it's a hammer or pliers or whatever. They're saying, "Oh, look what great jobs we did." Did they? No, we did it with them, right? Because we're using the instruments to do the work. So the same thing, in God's hands, we are the instruments. We didn't do anything, and we're doing nothing. It's God's work. He is doing, He is continuing. He did not stop, as we heard in the reading, that He stopped on the seventh day and rested. That's for us to understand that one day out of the week, the day of the resurrection, we have to dedicate it to God. No work, no anything else on that day. It's just going to church, praising God, giving thanks to God, and resting from all the things, and reflecting on our lives. This is what we shall do on Sundays. Not working, not going to the beach, not just reflecting on our life, on our deeds, on what we shall do to get better, to get closer to Christ. This is how we shall spend the day of the Lord. Not doing other chores. So, and specifically now that we are in this period of Lent, we have to abstain also from food. But not only from food, but for everything, every evil that is poisoning our eyes, our ears, our mouth, and so on and so forth. So let us take heed and listen to the words of God and accept and follow Him, because this is what He wants us to do, to follow Him. This is what He said, "Follow me. Deny thyself. Take upon your shoulders your cross and follow me." So may God enlighten us, and may He guide us on His footstep. Amen. God bless you all.